Okay, I'm getting ready to go somewhere, but before I do, I just got in the car and started thinking about driving and like how long I've been driving. So I've been driving like for 3 years now, since I've been like a senior in high school. And I guess I was just thinking about crazy things that have happened while I've been driving. So, yeah, the first thing that happened was I was driving, right? And so I'm going down this long, like, road. And so it's like a 2-lane highway. And so I'm going down this like highway, and like it's raining a little bit. And so of course like I'm listening to my iPod and like looking down, looking back up, looking down, looking back up. And so like so I'm going down the hill, right? And I'm looking like at my iPod for like maybe 2 seconds. Then I look back up. The next thing I know, like like this lady was like stopped, and so like I have to like slam on my brakes, and then like I end up like hydroplaning and hitting the back of her car. So that was like the most recent crazy thing that's happened to me. Other than that, like let's see, another crazy thing is I was driving in high school, and like I was backing up and like in my high school it was like a race. I don't know if you guys' high school was the same, but it was like a race to get out of that like parking lot. So like everybody's like, after the bell rings like at 2 o'clock, everybody's like running to their car and getting in their car, because like if you wait too long there's like this huge line that like piles up. And so you have like 10 minutes between like getting in your car, getting in the line, and before the buses come out. And so when the buses come out, like those buses roll like for a while. So the buses like come out and then they roll for like maybe like honestly like 15 minutes. So you'd be in that line waiting 15 minutes. So like everybody was like grabbing people every day after the bell rung to like get in your car, right? And like run to it. So I run to my car, I get in it, and for some reason, like, I think it's okay to like put my car in reverse and like slam on the accelerator. And of course, like, I had only been driving for like 5 months or whatever, right? And so I slammed on my accelerator, and I thought like, okay, like it's just fine, like that car's far enough in back of me. So like I slam on my accelerator, and I end up like careening into this car in back of me. So like it's just like bam. And so like everybody saw, like probably everybody saw, like there's like a row of buses, right? And so there's like our parking lot, and then there's like a row of buses. So I'm pretty sure that like people from the buses could like see what was going on, and I was pretty embarrassed. And so like I don't know, you know that like that thought when like you crash your car, and like as bad as it may sound right now, but you know that thought where you're like, I'm just gonna leave, like I can leave, right? And so like I kind of thought that for like 3 seconds. So, like I put my car in drive. I put my car in drive, and like pieces are falling off the back, and like I'm driving away a little bit, like not, honestly I wasn't gonna leave because there's no way I can leave. I guess just kind of like calming myself down and like getting off of that car I just crashed into, which honestly you're probably not supposed to do, but I don't know, I was just freaking out. And so so I drive up a little bit, and so I'm like leaving the scene, and so this one girl, like she just screams at the top of her lungs, like someone's like killing her, and she's like screaming and screaming and screaming. And so of course like it draws attention even more to the situation, so I knew I couldn't leave. So I still kind of hate that girl, like if I ever see her again, but whatever. But yeah, so then I just put my car to the side and I park, and of course like security comes down, and he's like what happened, what were you thinking, like blah blah blah, what was going on. And so for me at the time though, like I go home and like I'm thinking about the situation, and like maybe like 2 weeks later, like Toyota has that incident where they have like accelerators sticking like on their car in every Toyota. So I was like, oh my gosh, like that's what happened to me, right? And so like I mean, like I tried to like get insurance, like whatever, listen to that and be like, it was my accelerator sticking. But I think it might have been that a little bit, but most of it was like me just like being super crazy and trying to get out the school parking lot. So don't ever do that. Like if you're thinking like I need to get out of school, like I want to go to wherever you want to go, like I had nowhere really important to go, like no job, no like super tasks that needed to be fixed or whatever, you know. So I could have just slowly backed out, but I just did not want to wait in that line. It wasn't worth it, because in the end I ended up paying like hundreds of dollars to like fix it. So yeah, just think about what you're doing before you slam on the gas. And then yeah, my last instance was when I got my first car, right? I saved the best for last, basically. I got my first car, and it was some Cadillac, right? And so my dad's like, oh man, like Cadillacs are the best cars in the world. Like he's from Chicago, so I guess like down there it's considered a really nice car. And it is, but I mean, I got like kind of like a old Cadillac. Like I don't want to say it was 1970s because it wasn't that old, but it might have been like 1989 or something pretty old, right? So I'm driving my car, and I got it from my dad got it from my grandma because she got a new Cadillac, and so she gave me her old one. And so yeah, so I'm driving it, and every single time like I drive to school, right, there's like always issues. Like it's always overheating, or like it's always saying this, and like so I pull over when it overheats, and it's just like you know how the cars have those things in the middle, like under the speedometer, where they tell you what the situation is, like you need to get your oil changed, like you need to do this. And so it would say like overheating all the time. So I'd be like, okay, yeah, it's overheating, like, so I'm gonna pull over, and I talk to my dad about it, and he'd be like, yeah, it's alright, it's gonna work itself out, it's just the kinks of the car or whatever, right? And so at the time I was pretty young, like maybe 16, yeah. So I didn't really think to like maybe go on YouTube or like go into the hood and like do these things. And honestly, I probably wouldn't have gone on the hood because I don't go into the hood of my car now. But you know, like I didn't really think of what to do to fix the situation. So I just kept driving it like every day to school. And of course, when you get your first car, you're gonna want to drive it every day to school to like be cool and like take your friends and all that stuff. And so one day I was driving to school, right? And so like, of course, run-of-the-mill, same type of situation, like overheating was on the like speedometer thing. So I'm just driving, so I pull over, and so I let it like cool down. Usually I let it sit idle for like 10 minutes, I turn off the engine, and then I turn it back on, and it'd be fine. So this time, like, I guess it just had enough, and so like I'm driving to school still, and I get back on the road like after 10 minutes, and like it's ridiculous. Like the series of events that happened in the next like 10 minutes of my life were like the scariest thing in the world. Okay, so like I'm driving, right? And so like next thing I know, like the car's like overheating. So I'm just like, what's going on? Like it was like the engine light came on and was like flashing, and most people tell you like when that happens, like you need to pull your car over right away. So like I'm on the highway, so I can't do that. So like I get to the like I eventually am able to get to the right and get off the highway, but by the time I did that, like my car started smoking on the inside. So I'm like I'm freaking out. So like my car's like smoking on the inside, and so like I'm driving still and I can't see anything. So like I roll down the window and I'm like looking out the window like, oh my god, like I can't do anything. Like I was freaking out. And so yeah, so like I'm looking out the window and the car's like smoking on the inside, and so like I'm trying to pull over. And so like basically I was able to pull over, and I was able to like go to this like really remote area, like kind of scary because it was like in the woods, and it was kind of like maybe like 6:30 in the morning because that's when school starts, and I had to be there by 7. And so I'm like, I call my dad, and he never picks up. Like he's the type of guy that you call and then he picks up like 20 minutes after, or he'll get the message late. And so like I'm freaking out, and I'm like, Dad, I don't know what to do. Like, and I think maybe this time I was able to get a hold of him. Like I can't really remember, but I think I got a hold of him, and he told me to just drive to school. Like I was like 5 minutes away, so he's like, it can take it, like take it to school for 5 minutes, park in the parking lot, let it sit there for the day, and it will obviously like cool down because it kept overheating. So I'm like, okay, yeah, I could do that. So I get in the car again and I turn it on, and so like honestly, like after a minute it starts like smoking on the inside again. So like I'm freaking out. So I'm like, oh my gosh, like it's doing it again. And so I end up like I end up driving, and I end up like getting on the median of the highway, like boom, and like driving, and like my head out the window, and like people looking at me like I'm crazy, and it was just really scary. And so to even make the situation worse, like it ended up like squirting oil like on my foot. Like I don't know, this car was just like a death trap. So like it's ended up like squirting oil on my foot. So like I'm trying to press the brake, and oil's like every single time I press it, like oil's like ksh, 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 like hot singeing oil, like not cool, like, you know, not like lukewarm, like no, this stuff was hot. And so like I'm going to die, like I'm freaking out, like I'm screaming. And so I think I ended up getting to school, and yeah, so I did end up getting to school like barely. Car smoking like on the inside. It's not even smoking on the outside, like that would have been much better, but it was smoking on like the inside. So I don't really think anybody saw me, like thank goodness. Like I had 2 really bad incidents at my high school with my car, but yeah, so I don't think anybody really saw me, so I think I was okay. But so I parked my car, right, and so I get out of it and I go into school and I have like oil all over my feet. Like, you know, I don't really think I smell like oil, but of course, you know, like when you smell like something, you don't really know it. Like other people always know it before you. Like they'll be like, do you smell that? And you're like, no, like I smell like a lot of like cologne. And then you'll be like, oh, like yeah, I did put on a lot of cologne, but you never smell it first. So I'm not too sure if like other people smelled it or if like whatever. So I was just like in class with like oil on my shoe, and yeah, I went home and got back in my car and like drove home and it was fine. But after that I figured out actually that what happened to make my car like continually overheat was, instead of engine coolant, my grandma put like sand in the engine coolant, and it's like I really think she might have been trying to kill me. Like I don't know what I did to her, but okay, so like you know how you put engine coolant in your car and it's supposed to like cool the engine if it gets too hot, and vice versa for if it's like cold, it's supposed to heat it, I guess. I'm not too sure, but so instead of putting like the chemical solution she was supposed to put in there, she puts sand. And so my car's like every single time it's overheating, it's not getting what it needs to cool down. So your engine obviously gets hot and it gets like the solution to make it cool down. And so she put something else in there, which was sand, and so I could have died. Like, so I don't know what was on her mind when she did that, but I don't know. I'm not too sure. But yeah, those are like my 3 crazy driving stories, and if you guys have any crazy driving stories, like comment below. Like I love hearing crazy driving stories because everybody goes through them and everybody drives, and around where I'm from, like you drive mostly, like I know I drive like 2 hours a day, so I run into like a story like once a month. So yeah, thanks for watching.